So let's talk about Robo Toy Fest. Robo Toy Fest, if you don't know, is a smaller convention run by the people that run Japan World Heroes and Power Morphicon. Robo Toy Fest is more of their Transformers style or Transformers highlighted toy festival, I guess. Toy festival is kind of the right word. More of a small convention. But it was at the same place where they had Japan World Heroes. Japan World Heroes is the convention I went to 2 years ago now, where I met Gakusano, Kamen Gaim. So I was like, oh, I know this place. It's near my house. Let me go there. I showed up kind of late. It started at like 9 a.m. for press and early entry. I got there at like 11:30. And I'll do the unboxing and show you guys everything I bought after I tell these stories. Because the main reason I went there for two things that concern us as a stream, as a community, as fans. One, there was a Power Rangers SPD panel, and two, there was a VR Troopers reunion that had so many people from VR Troopers. In fact, everyone was there, from like directors of the show. Ron Wasserman, who wrote the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers opening, a bunch of Power Ranger openings, wrote the VR Troopers opening. He was there as well. They did a VR Troopers panel. If you want to see either of those panels, subscribe to the Clips channel. The SPD panel is up right now for you to see. The VR Troopers panel will be up either tonight or tomorrow. I was having a little bit of trouble exporting it, but I'll make sure it exports. The VR Troopers panel was first, and I'm going to be honest. I was born in 1992. I was very, very young when VR Troopers came out. I remember the song and the suits, but I don't remember a whole lot about the show. And I meant to go back and watch it, but I didn't get the chance to before the panel or before the convention started. That's just how it went. So I went to the panel, very excited to see everything that was happening, how these people remember Saban and all this stuff, which, spoiler alert, not fondly. They did not remember Saban fondly, which, shout out. And it was Sarah Joy Brown's first convention ever. She'd never done a convention before. So that was really cool to see. And the VR Troopers panel was a super fun panel. The moderator, Joe Deckelmeyer from Screen Rant, did a thing where he played like a game show with them. Had them all answer ABCD questions, write them on the thing, and then would ask a question after that. If you saw the clip on my shorts of Brad Hawkins mentioning how he was supposed to be the White Ranger originally. He was supposed to be the White Ranger, and then JDF was so popular that Saban and everybody at Power Rangers was like, we can't lose JDF from this franchise, so make him the Green Ranger. And JDF had already shot the pilot for VR Troopers. JDF was going to be the main character in VR Troopers, and it was called Cybertron at the time. And instead, Saban was like, all right, scratch that. Let's do JDF as the White Ranger, and instead do Brad Hawkins as the VR lead in VR Troopers. And so Brad Hawkins auditioned for Power Rangers, and up until like weeks before, thought he was going to be the White Ranger in Power Rangers. Literally had no idea he was going to be in this other show, and then all of a sudden they were like, we have this other show for you. He called it Haim Saban's Consolation Prize, which is very funny. But all of the actors remember the show very fondly, had good times, good stories to tell. The other thing that they said was that Brad Hawkins, who is the original voice of the Gold Ranger in Power Rangers Zeo, literally didn't know, or didn't so they had the Gold Ranger coming up, and they were like, Brad, we need a voice for the Gold Ranger because we don't have him casted yet, but he's in these episodes. So Brad Hawkins, who was working on VR Troopers at the time, literally went upstairs to the ADR department, did a free voice, like didn't charge them at all, for like 6 or 7 episodes on Power Rangers Zeo as the Gold Ranger. And they literally just thought, let's put Brad in there. We'll cast the actor for Power Rangers Zeo for the Gold Ranger later, and nobody will know it was Brad. And then instantly, Brad Hawkins was talking about how the forums blew up. Everyone knew it was Brad Hawkins right off the rip. And everyone was like, there's going to be a VR Troopers Power Rangers crossover. Because the main character from VR Troopers is going to be the Gold Ranger. It's going to be this huge crossover. And Brad Hawkins basically was like, nope, was never going to happen. They just needed a voice. They had no idea who they were going to cast. They hadn't cast him yet. And then they just jumped in and threw his voice in there for like 6 episodes. Right after the VR Troopers panel was the SPD panel. And there's some stuff that happened behind the scenes that I'm not going to tell you guys. I will just say, going from the VR Troopers panel, which was very fun, very enjoyable, all the actors were into it, to the SPD panel. And you guys can watch, like I said, both panels on the Clips channel to see the difference. The SPD panel might have been the worst panel I've ever seen in my life. Might have been the worst panel, not only that I was there live for, but the worst panel I have ever seen in my life, period. And it was a double-edged sword of a inexperienced moderator and a cast that just didn't want to be there. This was their 20th anniversary, or it's their 20th anniversary coming up, so this was marketed as like a 20th anniversary panel. And the cast just wasn't into it. The moderator just didn't know how to like keep it rolling and everything. And it was funny because I went to Anime Riverside the weekend before. I went to Anime Riverside last week, and I got to sit down and see a one-on-one panel between Sean Schemmel and my friend Jimmy is a Geek. Go check out his channel. He has the panel on his channel. And it was an hour-long panel of Sean Schemmel, who, for those of you that don't know, is the voice of Goku in Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Daima. Not Dragon Ball, sorry. Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Daima, Dragon Ball Super. It was the voice of Goku and Jimmy in a one-on-one, and they did fan questions towards the end, but most of it was just this one-on-one. And it's drastically the best panel I've ever seen in my life. And a large part of that is Sean Schemmel is such a charismatic person. He knows, for lack of a better word right now, he knows how to be a celebrity. He knows how to not only answer a question, but like keep the conversation going and keep it fresh. He answers your question and then he goes, oh, I have a funny story about that. Or that reminds me of this. And he keeps going. And what's funny is all of last week, that is how I went into stream. That's how I like started streams of like, how do I go into streams with like this Sean Schemmel mentality of being charismatic, keeping things rolling, keeping things interesting for all of you guys. And it was how it's how I literally start off the stream now. It's how I literally like get ready to stream, is to get into that mentality. He's Goku for a reason. Absolutely, Grim. Like, and there's a term like, we made the right person famous. Sean Schemmel is one of those people. And so it inspired me to be better at this, be a better speaker, be a better host and all this stuff. And that was because like my friend Jimmy and Sean. And then I watched this Power Rangers SPD panel, and for all intents and purposes, 2 people on that panel very obviously didn't want to be there, and 2 people did. But the 2 people that didn't kind of like brought down the whole vibe. And I don't remember some video, but somebody asked them at the very end to do the morph. And one of the people on the panel said, fuck no, and left. And that will just always leave the worst taste in my mouth for all time. Do I want to be a moderator? I would love to do a moderate a panel. I was supposed to moderate Gokai Red at 2 Power Morphicons ago, and I got COVID like the morning of. They dropped the F-bomb off, like they were standing up and leaving, and they dropped it off microphone. I think if it's on video, you'll definitely be able to hear it. But I don't remember if I'd stopped recording by then. But a fan basically ran up after the questions were over, once they were getting up and leaving, and asked, can you guys do the morph? Which I feel like is a part of every Power Rangers panel that people are just really excited to see. And so like to not do it, not only not do it, but just to be like, fuck no and peace out, really, really fucking sucks. So that's just the dichotomy of those 2 panels, even the panels that day, but the panel between Sean Schemmel and the SPD 20th anniversary, just worlds apart. And I'm a person who, when I walked into my first Power Morphicon panel, it was a Time Force panel, and they instantly opened to fan questions, and the fan questions instantly became like, in episode 37, where it was, they were like, in episode 37, when Wes and Jen did this, and I was like, oh, panels aren't really for me. But more in recent years, I've more started to open up to it and realize like, oh man, fan questions, like they're just really excited to see these people. They just really want to ask these questions, so it's fine. So I've seen like cringy fan questions before, or like fan questions from children that don't like fully understand stuff, and it's fine. It's fine. You just take it, you move on, you understand that like this is what conventions are, this is the fan base, and everybody deserves that equal chance to have that interaction with their heroes and have those questions, whether it's at the table or during or during panels. I forgot the name. Panels. But most places have stopped doing fan questions at panels because of a lot of stuff that has happened in the past and a lot of questions that have come up in the past, which is fine. Or they'll screen the fan questions before the panels, which I totally get. Totally get that. But anyways, after I got out of the SPD panel, I went around some of the vendors and bought some stuff. And then I took a picture with Monica May. She was super nice. Rick was also there. Like, Greg Aronowitz, the showrunner of SPD, brought the life-sized Rick prop that they used, which I thought was insane. He brought a life-size Rick, and I thought that was cool. The Monica May was super nice. Is Rick as big as an actual dog? Rick is bigger. Rick is much bigger. And so, yeah, Monica May was super nice. Took a picture with her. Didn't meet the VR Troopers people. They had the longest lines of the con for sure. They had the longest lines of the con. But I walked around and bought a bunch of stuff. The con I didn't think I was going to have a fun time at or wasn't going to do a lot at. I spent the most money that I spent at any con I've been to this year. So I will tell you what I got, and I will tell you the prices of them as well. Okay? Because that's why I bought stuff. If you have good prices, then you got me. Okay? So we'll start out with this one because you guys knew I was going to buy it because I've been telling you I've wanted it forever. The 01 driver, because I've wanted the 01 driver forever. Because of course I have. The 01 driver freaking rules. So I got the 01 driver. It's got rising hopper in there. It's got the belt straps. It's got everything with it besides the little circle thing that comes on the back. This was $40. This was $40. It's from PCTC Collectible Toys. You can find them at PCTCstore.com or PCTC Store on Instagram, it says. So they had belts and stuff. I also could not help myself from buying another belt from them that I don't have. I bought the Ghost Driver. It is shrink wrapped, yeah. I bought the Ghost Driver because I was like, hey, I don't have the Ghost Driver. Let me grab them. Let me grab this one. It's from the same place. This one does come with the little back thing. Die, Kaigen! Do I have to use the extenders? Yes, I actually use the Shot Riser belt for the extender. The collection grows, yeah. And this was $30. So this was $30 and I was like, absolutely, I want that driver. Because I would love to have all the drivers, even though I don't enjoy the season. But yeah, Ore wa Takaru Tenkuji. There's my driver. The other thing is, you guys might know that I'm a big Silver Space Ranger fan. And I found the Walgreens exclusive Zane. Brother, I've been looking at this forever. I go into random Walgreens and like, please let them have Zane. And then I'll walk around and they don't have Zane. So I have the Zane with the bicycle that I got at Target. And I found the Walgreens Zane. I like this color better. Honestly, the colors are different on this one. I like this one's color better. So I've been looking at this forever. This was $20. This was $20. Let's fucking go. And then the dude that was selling these got me. He's like, hey, you like Power Rangers in space, huh? How about the Astronema and Andros 2-pack? So I got the Astronema and Andros 2-pack for $40. This is $40. Wasn't there like 5 versions of Silver Space? No, I think there was 2. Will I do henshins for 01 Ghosts? Yes. Not right now. They'll probably be shorts. But I got this 2-pack for $20. And then my friend Will happened to turn around from where I was buying these Lightning Collection figures, and he said, is that $15 right there? Is that toy $15? And I looked and I was like, holy shit, that Lightning Collection figure is $15. So the last thing I ended up buying at this con, besides the picture with Monica May, which I think was $30, $40, $45 maybe. I think it was $45. So the last thing I bought at this con, which I found for $15, and I will prove it because it still has the price tag on here, is fucking Lord Draken. There was a Tommy thing that was under like $50. Lord Draken was $15. You can see it on the sticker right there. And it was from a guy who is literally just selling Native American dolls and then had one Lord Draken figure. He had these like 12-inch wood carved Native American dolls, and then a Lord Dragon figure sitting out in front of the table. And I turned around and I was like, that is $15. Let me buy that right now. Walked over to him and instantly went, can I get that? And he's like, yeah, sure. And then for 10 minutes, he could not work this is just how conventions work, guys. These are very small vendors, people that don't own like crazy. They probably have an eBay toy front somewhere. And so he like takes out his tap thing for cards on his phone, and then for 10 minutes couldn't get it to connect and couldn't figure it out. So I ended up using his phone, helping him out, and just typing in manually my credit card into his Stripe payment system, and then walked away with a $15 Lord Dragon. So I'm super hyped about that. That'll probably go back there with the rest of the Tommy stuff.